things. So on this webinar, we're going to talk about gatekeeper tips and script. Now, I have to tell you, it's really hard to script a gatekeeper presentation, okay? And we'll get into that in a little bit, but we're going to, instead of going through scripts, we're going to really go through and focus on tips of how to get through the gatekeeper. And not just get through the gatekeeper, but get that gatekeeper warmed up, helping you, right? Because we want the gatekeeper to be our friends. Anyone here ever had a gatekeeper control the call? It's a very frustrating feeling. So I'm going to teach you how to take control of the call and turn them into your friend. We're also going to talk about opening tips, and we're going to write a script for opening tips or opening. An opening script is the script that you have when you first get the decision maker on the phone. So there's several different types of scripts, right? You've got the gatekeeper script, you've got the opening script. We're going to also talk about sales tips and also a sales script, okay? And then we're going into my favorite subject, which is objection handling. Objection handling. I love objections because it just means that we're so close to wrapping up the sale. And we're going to talk about how to handle objections. As a matter of fact, I've also written some objections, which you guys will be able to print screen and save those objections. So definitely be ready for that. And last, and certainly not least, we're going to be talking about closing the sale. So is everybody excited to get started? Great. So let's talk about writing a script, okay? Now, when you're writing a script, obviously, a lot of people, they write their scripts. They try to write their scripts in the fashion of they're only thinking about closing the sale, and that's important, obviously, because that's your objective, is to close the sale. But make sure that when you're writing your script, you write how you talk. As you can see how I wrote it here, how's it going? Those types of things. Those types of things. We don't say, how are you doing today? So make sure that you talk or you write your scripts how you talk. And especially if you have agents working for you in different countries, make sure that you write those scripts how we talk here or wherever you're at in your calling. So if you're in the UK, speak proper English how you would want them to talk. But here in the U.S., we're more casual, right? So don't write your scripts professionally. Write your scripts casually, and use ya, and and all those other ways we talk here. Just be careful not to be too professional in your scripting, because then it doesn't sound like it's natural. Does that make sense to everyone? Make sure that your scripts sound natural. Okay, and that's the whole point of writing how you talk. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you get to the point of your script very quickly, because obviously people are busy. People don't have lots of time. So you got to make sure that when you're writing your script, you get to the point very fast. And I'm talking within the first 60 to 90 seconds, you should be getting to some sort of a point, okay? Stay on topic. A lot of times people have their objective, which we're going to be talking about a lot today, is objectives when writing our script. But people have their objective, but on their script, they may veer off into different directions that don't matter. Look, your script doesn't need to be 15, 20 minutes long. The point of a script is to warm them up for a presentation, okay? So what we're going to be doing is, getting them interested in talking to us more about whatever it is that we're offering them. And staying on topic, you want to make sure that you stick to that specific focus, which is just to get to the presentation. Memorize your script. We're all mini actors here in our business. And I personally never bring on any new salesperson without the very first thing I give them is the script, and I say, you start in 2 days, have this memorized before you start. Okay? Now, obviously, memorize to me is a little different than to memorize for those, for actors that get on TV. You want to have it memorized in such a way where you can have the script in front of you and speak as clearly as conversationally as we are right now. Okay? So make sure that you call, if you're doing these calls yourself, make sure that you have the script memorized in such a way that you can deliver it just like you're having a normal conversation. But if you have somebody working for you, same type of thing. You want them to have that conversational type of feel. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Do you understand what I mean by having that conversational feel? Because look, if you speak, and this is probably one of the most important things. So take this down if you're writing notes, and you should be. But this is one of the most important things. If you are speaking or doing a sales script, or you're reading your script, people can tell. People can hear when you're reading a script. Like right now, I'm going through bullet points. If I was reading a script and it was the first day I've ever talked to you and I was reading that script, you would be able to tell. It would sound like I'm reading a book to you. And normally what happens when you read a script or read a book to somebody, usually my mom used to read me a book when I was going to bed. Right? So people when they get read a book, they probably, they're expecting some more milk because they're going to go night-night. So don't do that, or they're going to hang up the phone on you. Don't read to them. Memorize that script and have it in such a way that you'll be able to literally just spit it off like it's completely natural. Practice, practice, practice. Obviously, that's going to help you get better and memorize that script. I always used to call my friends, call my family. I know that sounds goofy, but it works. And I would say, hey, listen, I need to practice my presentation. Will you give me some feedback? And they'll say, sure. So practice, practice, practice. Exactly. Perfect practice, perfect practice, perfect practice, says Richard Jones. Okay, be confident. When you're delivering your presentation, act like you know what you're talking about. Because this is another huge thing. And I know some of you guys that are more advanced, don't worry, we're going to get into more advanced stuff here soon, but I want to make sure that we start with the basics. We always start with the basics, okay? Being confident is probably one of the biggest, this is going to help you the most in anything you do, whether it's selling or relationships. If you're not married, females and males, we love confidence. Females especially. One of the best ways to attract the opposite sex is to be confident. And it's the same thing in sales. Your sales will increase when they can tell you feel confident that what you have is going to be valuable for them. It's very important. If you don't have a command of what you're talking about, and you don't have a tone in your voice that makes them feel comfortable that you know what you're talking about, they can tell. And that will turn somebody off faster than anything. All right? Next and last here in the script tips that we're going to talk about is focus on the benefits, not the features. Always think about WIFM, right? Anybody want to put in, what is WIFM? Go ahead and tell me, what is WIFM? Focus on the benefits, not the features. WIIFM. What's in it for me? Thank you, John. Thank you. Good job. And you know what? Listen, we're all the same creatures. Put yourself in your customer's shoes. When you're writing a script and you're delivering a presentation or a script, I'm sorry, make sure that you put yourself in your customer's shoes. Is there something that's exciting in there that is going to make them feel excited for themselves. If there's not, then you got to go back to the drawing board. Okay? So always think, what's in it for me? Not you, what's in it for them? Okay, so let's talk about the gatekeeper. And as you see, I crossed out scripts and put in tips, because you're not going to be able to really write a script for the gatekeeper because it's just always going to be different. But you should have a general idea of what you're going to say. So you could write something down. Just keep in mind that you're going to veer off immediately. Okay, so what's the objective of the gatekeeper script or tips? The objective for the gatekeeper is to get to the decision maker. That's it. It's very easy. That's it. We're not trying to talk the gatekeeper into selling the decision maker or, anything. Matter of fact, the less they know, the better. Okay? Who here has tried to pitch the gatekeeper before, right? Who's ever tried to do that? Yeah, don't do that anymore. So, the very first thing, obviously, is objective is to get to the decision maker. In order to do that, you have to have a certain personality. Everybody here is their own boss, right? If you're not your own boss, let me know. If you work for somebody here, let me know. Who do you work for? Everybody says, I work for me. I'm my own boss. Good. Good. When you get on the phone with the gatekeeper, pretend like you're a boss. If you really are a boss, then be the boss, right? You're the person that you're like just as important as the person they work for. So act like it, okay? Don't be hesitant. Don't be nervous. And all of these things that I'm teaching you is exactly what you can actually use these to teach your sales staff as well. Okay, but yeah, you want to be boss, be like confident. Again, back to what we were talking about, but have that persona that when you're talking to them, that this is important. I'm not a salesperson. This is important. I need to talk to your boss. Okay, always use first names. Don't use first and last names. If you have, Richard Jones, don't ask for Mr. Jones. Don't ask for Richard Jones. And sometimes I'll just ask for their name by short, or their shortened version, right? Because most people don't go by their full name; they'll go by like Rich, right? So ask for Richard, or ask for Rich, or if it's Robert, you could always go out on a limb and ask for Bob, but just ask for them by their first name. The reason why is because they can detect automatically when somebody asks first and last name that you've never called there before and you don't know who you're asking for, or there's no reason for them to be talking to you. Okay? These are the things that I'm teaching you are going to get you right through to the decision maker. I have no problems getting through to the decision maker. If you can't get through to the decision maker at least 5-10 times a day, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay? So be boss and use first names. Now, when you're talking to the gatekeeper, always data mine, because the gatekeeper really is your best friend. They're going to tell you everything that you need to know in order to close that deal. And the way you want to do it is in a simple, non-intrusive way. Asking them specific questions like, hey, can I get your cell phone number, or so-and-so's cell phone number? Anything that you want to ask, just ask it in a simple way. Don't try to ask questions like, that are too intrusive, because what's going to happen is they're going to say, well, I'm not telling you that information. I'm not allowed to give that information. I'm sorry. Okay. Absolutely, Richard. They will give the cell phone number. Absolutely, they'll give the cell phone number. And that actually brings me to the next point. Never ask, tell. Okay. It depends on how you ask or how you tell them to do anything. All right. Whenever I ask to be put through to to Richard, I would say, I'll hold for Richard, thanks. Just like that. I didn't say, could you please put me through to Richard, please? Just say, I'll hold for Richard, thanks. Or, all right, and go ahead and give me Richard's cell phone number. Because I just told them to do it. You know, it's a direct order now. And the way you give that, if you are acting boss and you use their first name, you know, or you can even use some tricks. Another trick that I use is I might call up and I'll do this ahead of time. I'll say something like, yeah, I was trying to get a hold of Richard, and for whatever reason, I wasn't able to. I'm just going to shoot him over a quick email. What's his email? Give me his email. And they'll give it to me. And then, you know, another same exact technique works for getting the cell phone number. You know what? I just noticed Richard hasn't been in the office for the past few hours, and it's important I get in touch with him by the end of the day. What's his cell phone number? Give me a cell phone number. Okay? When you ask, you will get it if you tell them, and you ask in a telling type of fashion. I don't know if that makes sense, but those are the ways that I get through to the gatekeeper and get them to give me the information that I want. And once you get the mobile phone number or the cell phone number, you're good. You're good because you'll be able to get right through to the decision maker every time you call. Never volunteer up information, okay? And I know everybody here today has been in this situation before where you just, what do you call that? Diarrhea of the mouth, I guess. That's a gross way to say it, but that's it. I mean, people just start talking and they can't get those words to come back in. You know, they just start volunteering everything, and next thing you know, the gatekeeper knows exactly what you're coming for or calling for, and they're now in gatekeeper mode, which means you ain't getting nowhere. You might as well put that lead off and call them in a week, because you know, give them some time to forget who you are, because you're now a salesperson. So don't volunteer any information. It's none of their business. They think it is. Their job is one thing and one thing only, in my eyes. Put me through. That is it. Your job is to put me through. Right? You're patching me through. And, you know, give me any other information I want between the time that I call and not. Is this information helping you guys out so far? Yes? Okay, good. All right. So, next. Never pitch the decision. Never pitch the gatekeeper. You don't want to pitch the gatekeeper for obvious reasons, because they can't do anything. They can't make a decision. No matter how excited you are, and no matter how much you think the gatekeeper is going to help you, they're not. The only thing that pitching the gatekeeper will ever successfully help you do is to not get through to the decision maker. That's it. If you pitch the gatekeeper, give up. You're never getting through the decision maker now. Now, this is one of my favorites. If asked, use answers with questions technique. Okay? Always respond to their question. If they ask you questions, right? If they ask you questions, answer their question, but then ask another question. Don't give them an example of that is basically you're not giving them an opportunity to ask you another question because you're controlling the call. Does that make sense? That is okay. How do I explain this? when you just answer a question, it's kind of like, you know, in a boxing match, right? Once you get hit with the left jab, if you don't do something, you're gonna get followed up with a hook or something, you know, an uppercut, something more damaging. Okay? It's the same type of situation. You're in a boxing match a little bit here. You're in a dance, but you're more, I like to consider it more of like a boxing match. You got to get out of there quickly. Dodge. Okay? And the best way to dodge is to answer them directly, but then immediately follow up with another question. So if you have your script in front of you, whatever you're asking, you know, is John there? Yes, may I ask what this is called? What this is regarding? Yeah, this is regarding some information I just sent over to him earlier today. By the way, what's his email? That's an example. I mean, just make sure, and you'll know. That's why I say there's no way to script this situation, because it's always going to be different, but it's the same. You just need to know where your direction is with the gatekeeper. Okay? The best way to script it out is to actually have a list of all of the questions that you want to ask them, and just know that that is your objective, to get all of those questions answered and then move on. Does that clear some things up? Okay, good. Now the last thing on the list here is don't be afraid of voicemail. Okay? I personally don't have a problem going to voicemail, because especially if that's the only thing that I feel like I'm going to be able to get out of that gatekeeper, because there are some hard-headed gatekeepers there. They're just, maybe they got reprimanded one too many times for putting through salespeople. You know, guys like me that are good at getting what we want, sometimes it'll get them into a little bit of trouble. Why'd you send that call to me? He wouldn't let me off the phone. You know, they probably got reprimanded. So, you know, if worse comes to worse, just go to voicemail, if they'll put you through to voicemail. Because if you have a good voicemail script or presentation, and you follow my steps, then you'll have an opportunity of getting that person to call you back at least. Okay? How would you send info to him if you don't know his email already, Todd? Well, ask the gatekeeper. It's a perfect example. I always like to try to get all that information before I call. You know, buy good data, because it's going to help you a lot. But if you don't have the information, then you know, just ask the gatekeeper. And again, I always teach people to call ahead of time before you actually play. Do 2 types of calls to the gatekeeper. I know it seems like an extra step, but it's worth it. Take an extra step, call a day before, and just get as much information out of the gatekeeper as you possibly can. Schedule it for a call back, then call them back and say, yeah, is Richard there? You know, and then go right through to the decision maker. You know, get that other information ahead of time. Get the cell phone, get the mobile, whatever you can get. You know, get it and then call the next time. All right? Okay, so here is an example of the script. Go ahead and print screen this. Okay? Now, my favorite way ahead of time is to call in and ask for the decision maker by name. If you do not have the decision maker's name, then you're going to have to get it. Now, the first thing to remember is the gatekeeper everybody likes to help, right? They want to feel like they're helping, and the gatekeeper's job is to help you. So first thing you want to do is ask for help. Hi, maybe you can help me. Usually they're going to follow up with the answer like, yeah, sure, what's up, right? You're asking a very polite question, and you're asking for them to help you, and nobody's going to be like, no, I'm not going to help you. What do you want? So, hi, maybe you can help me. And now the next thing is to identify the prospect. I'm looking for the person that, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you are looking for. Typically, the person that is going to make the decision is the person in charge, like the sales manager. You know, this person who's making the person who makes sure that the company has enough sales. In smaller businesses, that's usually going to be the owner or somebody like that. If you have the name, you can mention that. Is that John? You know, just throw that out there. But typically, if I have the decision maker's name and I know it, I'll skip what I just said. I won't ask for their help, and I won't ask for the person that handles X. I'll just call and say, yep, is John there? It's Mark. Thanks. All right. Tell them to put you through. As I said before, I'll hold for John. Thanks. Now, if they question you at that point, don't be scared. Again, don't feel like, oh no, I'm not going to get through now. Just be confident. They're going to put me through. So be very matter of fact in your answers, like I just said. You know, as you heard my tone of voice, when I ask for John. Is John there? It's Mark. I don't sound like a salesperson. They don't know who I am. I could be anybody. I could be a customer. I could be anybody. Okay? Now this is actually one of my favorite ways to get through. So if you're not paying attention, come back to the screen and definitely write this down, because this will get you through like almost every single time whenever a gatekeeper asks you the question, is he expecting your call? You guys know that, right? Everybody hears that. They're like, oh no, they're going to know I'm a salesperson now. No. Only if you let them know that. Here's my answer. Yeah. Actually, I'd send them some information from my head office, and I need to go over it by the end of the day today. I can hold for John, thanks. That's it. Simple, right? Because now think about it. They're like wondering, well, wait a second, he sent some information from his head office. Man, if I mess up and I don't get this through to him because it's like now there's a deadline, it has to be done by the end of the day, I may get into trouble. And I don't want to get into trouble. Nobody wants to get in trouble, right? So they're going to do what they can at that point to try to get through, help get you through to the right person. Now, if John's not available, then they'll say, well, John's not available right now. Okay, sometimes I will just go ahead and ask for the gatekeeper's help. I'm like, okay, listen, because this is so important and I need to do this by the end of the day, what do you suggest? Should I leave him another voicemail? Or should I call back in an hour? You tell me what's best. And a lot of times they'll look at his calendar or whatever and they'll say, you know what, call back in an hour. That's probably the best. I'll put you through. Did this help? Anyone? Richard? Yes? Todd? Anybody? Good. Awesome. I'm glad that this helped, because look, this is all basic stuff, but if you can get through the gatekeeper, you're golden. That's like, once you're talking to the decision maker, and when we get into the next part of the script, this is so easy. Okay? Todd says, holy crap, this is good. That's great. Awesome. I'm glad. And these are things that like most people take for granted, right? Okay, opening script tips. So what's our objective with an opening script? It's to get curiosity. That is it, right? So the gatekeeper, we were trying to get through the decision maker. Now we're in the decision maker's hands, or actually the decision maker's in our hands. So your objective now is to get the curiosity of the decision maker, right? You want to get them to a point to where they want to know why you're calling and they're excited to find out more, right? So first and foremost, your script should start out with an introduction and your important title, okay? I wish you guys could see me right now, because I'm actually stand up when I'm doing this, and it would be so much easier for you to understand if you saw my body language right now. But picture in your mind, okay? I puffed my chest out a little bit just now when I'm talking about that important title. Why? Because you want to have that important title for yourself. Puff your chest out when you're calling, because then it makes you feel more important. Whatever it takes to make you confident, do it. Give yourself the coolest title. Not president and owner. That's not a cool title. I'm never the president and owner, even though I'm the owner. Why is the owner calling me? Right? Oh, he must be a loser because he doesn't have anybody to do it for him. Anybody here understand what I just said there? How important is the owner if he has time to pick up the phone on his own and call? Not very. Because you know what? The more important you are, the bigger you are, the more people you have in between you. So create a title for yourself as an employee of your own company that sounds really cool. Okay? So introduction and important title. Next, headline statement. Now, headline statement, I like to say headline statement because, think about any sales letters you've ever written or read lately. Okay? They always have a really cool headline that grabs your attention. If the headline's no good, most of the time, you probably won't read the rest of it. So you have like 10 seconds, literally, to get somebody's attention, or not attention, curiosity, in the very first part of that call. If you don't, then you lose. So write a headline type of statement. Yeah, someone said I could do this on a Google Hangout. I need to start doing that. You know what I got? I'm going off on a tangent here, but I opened up my office because I met up with a good friend of mine, David Sprague, and he was talking to me about having things behind you. Even though I had a bookshelf behind me, he said that people try to read what you got going on. What type of books you read. They're not paying attention to what you're teaching. So yeah, I moved my bookshelf. I put up my whiteboard, but now I know people will be reading my big whiteboard. My whiteboard's like 7 feet wide and by 3 feet tall. So, people will be trying to figure out what I got going on there. So I got to get a curtain. I'm going to get a black curtain, and then we'll go into that direction. But definitely, I'm going to be doing some Hangouts in the next few weeks here. So definitely look out for that. Okay, so yeah, so headline statement, think 10-second rule. You have to get their curiosity ASAP. If it's not done within 10 seconds, you're done. They're now, even if they're on the phone, you're going to have to work very hard to pull their attention off of whatever they were doing. Because people do this with me all the time, and they'll call me, and I may be busy, right? Typing an email or checking some numbers or whatever, and I'll give them a second and I'll stop, and then if they don't get my attention, then I just go back to that, because I don't want to be rude and just say I'm not interested, because that actually it's more rude for someone to not tell you that they're not interested than it is for them to sit there and let you talk, right? So I guess I am rude, but I let them sit there and talk, and I'll do something else. But if you do a really good job of having an opening headline statement and you grab their attention in 10 seconds, then you won't have to worry about that. Someone asked if I can give you some examples. John, I will in just a second. This is just the tips portion. As you notice, my little format is tips and then script. Okay? All right, so credibility statement. I always give a credibility. Now, this is the format, by the way, that you have to write your script. So introduction and important title, then a headline statement. Now your credibility statement. Your credibility statement is going to be anything that you can do to build up credibility. Anything you can drop. Is it a name? Like, were you introduced by somebody that they know, or did you work for somebody recently that they should know? Right? Like, we are the biggest reseller for MCI WorldCom. We used to say that. We're not biggest. We're the largest reseller for MCI WorldCom. That was a credibility statement that we used at my very first sales job. So you need to have some sort of a credibility statement. You can use any awards that you've won. I mean, something that would make sense to them. We recently won the customer satisfaction award for suchandsuch.com. Whatever. Okay. And again, we're going to come up with some. I'll give you an actual better example here in just a second. Name drop, again, if it's a referral, if it's somebody they should know, whatever. Next is the reason for your call. This is the what. Okay, the reason for your call. Okay, so your objective is to get the curiosity, important introduction and important title, headline statement, credibility statement, reason for your call, and then confirm their availability. No, you don't go into your presentation or your script yet. This is just the opening script, by the way, which is only going to be about a paragraph. Okay? It's going to be very short and sweet. For those of you that want examples, I promise you, we're getting ready to here in the next screen. Okay? But I want everybody to print screen this, because you need this headline or this format. This format's very important. This is how you're going to write killer scripts. I promise you, if you guys do this, you are going to blow your sales out of the water. Like, you're going to be like, whoa, it's like a nuclear bomb just went off. This opening script right here is what gets those people to listen to you. This is huge. All right, so let's go ahead and go into my opening introduction. And I'm doing my opening script for Hot Prospector, right? I'm selling Hot Prospector. So my introduction is, hi, Bob. My name's Mark Helton. I'm the Senior Business Development Consultant here at Hot Prospector. Pretty cool title, right? I'm the Senior Business Development Consultant. I am, actually. I mean, I'm pretty much everything here. And I wouldn't say that to them, but that's my title. I'm the Senior Business Development Consultant. You can come up with whatever cool title you want. And I thought that was cool. You guys can use mine if you want. Senior Business Development Manager, Consultant, whatever you want to be. But it has to be impressive. It has to sound good. It doesn't have to be 5 words like mine was or 4 words. But come up with something that, don't just say that you're the owner. Don't say you're the president, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Don't say that you're the CEO or your CFO or anything that has to do with those high-level positions. Again, why is that person calling me? That would be the first thing that's in my mind. Oh, this must be a dinky little company. Sure, we are dinky, but that doesn't mean that we're not awesome, right? In the grand scheme of things, I think we get more stuff done on a daily basis than those big companies anyways. I'm not going to get into that because I'd rather not, but I don't want them to start guessing how big I am. The bigger you look, the better you are when you first start off. They don't need to know that you're the owner of the company. And eventually, you're not going to be doing these calls, because by the end of my training for Hot Prospector, not today, but over the next few weeks, you guys are not going to be making your own calls anymore. You're going to have a team if you follow and do what I tell you to do. Okay? You're going to be making big bucks. All right, so next is the headline statement. Your headline statement and your credibility. I like to wrap them up into one because there's no need to go and, blather on. I'm responsible for coaching over 10,000 local marketers like you to triple their sales and productivity. Is that powerful? I think so. I know so. Okay? I'm not even asking. I'm telling you that's powerful. Because I'm the person that's responsible, I am, for coaching over 10,000 local marketers just like you to triple their sales and productivity. So I've given them a headline statement, which is a little bit of both here, right? The 10,000 marketers and tripling their sales and productivity. Now their eyes or their ears are perking up. They're like, whoa, they're triple sale. I could use triple sales. And he's done it for 10,000 marketers. He must be really good. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Does everybody understand? Does that make sense on the headline statement there, what I just did? Do you get that? 10,000 local marketers just like you. Okay, I'm putting them in the seat of being the owner. There's a lot of hidden tactics in this statement here. I'm putting them in the driver's seat. I'm giving credibility. I'm telling them that I can help them because I've tripled the sales of other people's. A triple is I've done way more than triple. I mean, in some cases, somebody was only making $100 a month, and I've now made it $300 a month. I mean, that's not something I would write home to mom about, but you get the point, right? Come up with something that's creative. You guys are marketers, right? We're marketers and salespeople, so you've got to come up with something creative for yourself, okay? That gives your headline statement and teaches your credibility, okay? And somebody said, I haven't coached 10,000 people. Of course, you haven't. But you've done something. Your company has done something. It doesn't have to be about you. It has to be about your company. But you got to give them a reason to listen to you. This is all the most important part. This is the most important part. The 10-second rule here is what is going to take this call down the right path or the left path. And the left path isn't the path you want to go down. That's the wrong path. All right? Reason for your call and availability. So here is my script. The reason I called is to introduce you to a new sales system that's designed to help local marketers close more sales. Is now a good time, or should we set up a time to talk later? Do you see how to the point this is? It's to the point, and at this point, I've respected their time. I've proven that I am that guy that's coached over 10,000 local marketers, because who else would, respect their time as much as I do? I'm a professional, just like they are. So here's how it would sound. Hey, Bob, Mark Helton here. I'm the Senior Business Development Consultant at Hot Prospector. I'm responsible for coaching over 10,000 local marketers to triple their sales and productivity. Look, the reason why I called is to introduce you to a new sales system designed to help local marketers close more sales. Now, is now a good time, or should we set up a time to talk later? That's it. That's not too lengthy to where they're not going to listen, and they're going to give me a yes or no. Well, now is not really good. But if I did a good job with my headline statement, if they're doing something that's not that important, they'll put it off. Right? And you got to gauge their busyness, right? I mean, sometimes people are always busy, right? In our business, we're always busy. If you're not busy, then why are you even at work? You should be on vacation. You're never going to get a hold of people when they're not doing something. They're always going to have some level of busyness. It's just what type of busyness? Are they putting out fires? You know what I mean? Is it like an emergency type of busyness to where, maybe they're being audited? I mean, I've called during those types of situations. So you need to make sure that you gauge that. All right, so now let's move on to the sales script tips. I'm really happy because I'm looking at the audience view here, and I'm at 98%, which is really cool. So first off, I want to congratulate every single one of you that are on this presentation and listening to this training. You know why? Because you're watching and you're really trying to benefit yourself. So, you guys deserve a hand. This is really awesome. I've done a lot of webinars, and I don't get this type of audience view. We were at 100% up until just a few minutes ago. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for paying attention. It really makes me feel like you guys want this information, so thank you. Okay. So sales scripts tips. So the objective for the sales script is to get an appointment or do the presentation, right? Most importantly, get an appointment or do the presentation. That is what you're doing. You should be print screening every single one of these tips and the scripts. I'd like to say that I'm going to upload these into the members area, which eventually I will, but I've got my programmers are going to be making a change to the training area so I can upload some files, and we're also going to be changing a bunch of stuff inside there. So all of the training, all of like this video and stuff, we're going to be putting it into the members area so everybody will have access to it right inside there. And then these slides will be below it, but I had to have them change the way that I insert this information. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, because we have like a ton of things we're updating right now. Matter of fact, we just uploaded some updates today. Okay, so first thing is do the takeaway. Okay, do the takeaway. I personally, after I've gotten their interest by telling them who I am in the previous opening script and why I'm calling and all that good stuff, I want to do a takeaway right away. Doing the takeaway is going to make them say, wait, do you know who I am? You need to be selling me, right? You got to make, and it's funny, it's like a reverse psychology trick. When you do the takeaway, now all of a sudden they're selling you on why you need to sell them. It's great. I love it. You're going to see exactly how I do the takeaway here in just a second, but it's so awesome. Anybody here do takeaways? If you're not doing takeaways, you're going to love this. The takeaway is like the best thing in the world, and it happens. If you do it right, this is going to increase your sales a lot because again, you're making sure that they really want what you have. So much so that they are going to practically beg you to pitch them. Okay? Next thing is list the qualities of the prospect. Okay? What are the things that you need to consider in order for them to be a prospect? These are things that you need to do, obviously, ahead of time. Okay? So list the qualities of a prospect. Do they have the means to pay? Do they have the authority to buy? Do they have a need for what you offer? Those are the qualities of a prospect. Do they have the means? Do they have the authority? Do they have the needs? What are the things that you need in order to make sure that the person you're talking to, that you can identify them as a prospect? Does that make sense? Did everybody understand exactly what I said there? Because I know that some people may be a little bit above your head, so if it is, just tell me. I don't understand, so I can explain it, because this is important. Yep, everybody understands it. Okay, so you want to list out the qualities of your prospect, which is, do they have the means? Do they have the authority to buy? Do they have the needs to, this need for it? And make sure that you get as many of those qualities as possible. Do they have a specific situation that based off of your product that you solve, right? Do they have that specific thing happening in their business so you can identify that ahead of time? If you do the takeaway and these qualities that are in your prospect, that your prospect has, you're not going to waste your time dealing with people who don't qualify. And this is going to save you a lot of time and headaches. This is why most people hate to do sales presentations, because they're talking to the wrong people. So I'm trying to help you not do that. Okay. Next, qualify the prospect. Okay, so in order to qualify the prospect, you have to have they have to have a specific need, right? You need to be able to provide a specific benefit that they can, or they need to have the need that you can benefit, right? And a burning desire needs to be present, which we talked about. That's your bleeding neck. So you're going to qualify that prospect. So listing the qualities is actually, and for those of you that are a little bit lost here, because I almost got myself lost, the steps of your script is do the takeaway, qualify the prospect, confirm their qualification, give the benefits, and then offer the presentation and set an appointment. Okay, or offer presentation, set appointment for the presentation, whatever ends up happening there. But the list of qualities of prospect, that's something that you have to do before you actually do your presentation, so you know what things you're going to do or what things you're going to ask in order to qualify the prospect. So hopefully that clears everybody out up there. Okay, so confirm their qualification, right? After you have qualified them, let them know, wow, you qualified, congratulations. I wouldn't say congratulations. That sounds really, salesy, but you get the point. You let them know, you know what, this is perfect. You definitely sound like the person we're looking to work with. Or I'm looking to work with today. Okay? Next, give the benefits. Give the benefits of whatever it is that you're going to be offering them, and then offer a presentation. Does everybody understand where we're going? Good, because I know some people are lost, so let's clarify everything, and we're going to go ahead and go to our sales script. Here's the good stuff. So, the takeaway. Look, my system is exclusive, so it's not a fit for everyone. In order to make sure I'm not wasting your time, I just have a couple of questions. That's a perfect takeaway. Something like that. Something like that. Richard, you've got my email. Just shoot me an email or hit me on Skype at Mark Helton. I understand. Just hit me up. All right, so takeaway is, my system is exclusive, so it isn't a fit for everyone. I just, in order to make sure that I'm not wasting your time, I just have a couple questions. Now, I use that type of a script because I'm not. I don't want them to think that I think that my time is more important than theirs. But in all actuality, you're doing this for your own time. Okay, you're doing this to make sure that you don't waste your time. Yeah, John, hit me up. Just go ahead. You got my Skype. All right, so my Skype is Mark Helton. For anybody who's listening to this, go ahead, hit me on Skype. My Skype is Mark Helton. Eventually, I'm going to have so many people hitting me on Skype that I'll never be able to do anything besides answer Skype. All right, so qualify. All right, now here is my qualification. How many appointments can you handle each day? what type of prospecting activities work best for you? Could you make a $5,000 investment in your business right now if it meant a guaranteed 3 times ROI? Okay, does everybody see what type of a qualification I just did here? Okay, if not, let me explain this. What I did in my qualification is I put them in a point, I gave them qualifying questions that were so exciting. Like if you're paying attention, if you're a salesperson or if you're an owner of a company, I said, hey, you know what, how many appointments can you handle each day? It sounds like I'm getting ready to flood you with appointments, right? And that's a question. I'm qualifying with the question that is going to get them excited about what I want to talk to them about. But then again, happy birthday, Robert. But then again, what type of, but again, I'm sorry, you're asking if they can actually, if they're looking for more appointments, okay? Next is, what type of prospecting activities work best for you? What are you doing right now in your business that is working the best? Another qualifying question. I want to make sure that the person I'm selling is prospecting, right? Because I'm selling Hot Prospector, right? So my question here is, number one, how many more appointments can you handle each day? You guys are all here, so you should be able to answer that. Oh, I can handle 3 or 4 appointments a day, or 2, whatever, right? Next is, what type of prospecting activities work best for you? Well, I like to do emails, and I like to do, I like to send out, do phone calls, whatever, okay? Okay, great. And could you make a $5,000 investment if you're in your business right now if it meant a guaranteed 3 times return on investment? What did I just do there? This is huge. This is huge. This is the biggest question that I guarantee nobody is asking in their sales script. I promise you, you're not asking this question in your qualifications. You're making sure you're not wasting your time. You got somebody who's got money, right? If you called, now guys, this is important, okay? If you called 50 people today and you got through to 5 decision makers, and out of those 5 decision makers, you asked these 3 questions before you bothered doing anything else, and out of those 5 people, let's say 2 of them said, yeah, I have $5,000 if it meant I can triple my return on investment. So you're telling me if I give you $5,000, you're going to give me $15,000. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, good. Yeah, I have $5,000. See what I'm saying? Exactly. And I verified how much. Yeah, Dee said I just verified how much money. And I'm seeing if they have the money. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, this is all can be done over the phone. This is what I'm teaching you is all done over the phone. You could do it in face-to-face. This doesn't matter if you're doing it face-to-face or if you're doing it over the phone. This is how you write a sales script the right way to make sure that you're going to get sales. I mean, because we're all in this to make money. We're not in this just to talk to people. I guarantee you, if you do this, I guarantee you, this one qualifying part right here, guarantee, take it to the bank, this is going to put money in your pocket. Because you're not going to be wasting your time with people who don't have the money. No, D, that's not a guarantee. I didn't guarantee it. I just said, do you see guarantee in there? I said, could you make an investment if it meant a guaranteed 3 times? It's not a guarantee. And a guarantee is what you make of it. I'm just telling them that, like for example, I have a guarantee right now, and I guess you could throw a guarantee is only a guarantee when you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do if you don't, right? Like I offered a guarantee on Hot Prospector that said, if you buy this and you're not happy with it, I'll give you your money back, right? It's my 30-day money-back guarantee. But I just want to make sure at this point that they have $5,000. We're not offering any guarantees at this point. All right, so let's move on to the next part of the sales script because we're not done yet. So once you've asked them those questions and they said yes, yes, yes to all of those, you know ahead of time how many yeses of what questions you need to make sure that it's a qualifier. This is the cut and run, guys. You need to have that right there. If you do not have every one of your qualifications satisfied, don't waste your time. It doesn't make them it doesn't do any good for them, and it doesn't do any good for you. So just say, you know what? Thank you for your time. Okay? But if they do qualify, great. You sound like just the person I'm looking to talk to today. Okay? Does this all make sense? I know when you guys go back and watch this all, and literally just write it down, you'll be able to write sales scripts like a pro. And your stuff is going to be so awesome. You will be so amazed at how much this is going to help you. I mean it. All right, so give the benefits after you've confirmed that they qualify. Now it's time to give Now it's time to give their benefits. So this is my presentation, or my giving the benefits. So as I mentioned earlier, I've personally trained over 10,000 consultants. My system's designed to create and implement highly optimized sales funnels that have been responsible for tripling the sales for my clients, not to mention save them a ton of time by automating their prospecting activities. Okay? Now, as you see, these are benefits, not features. What would be features of Hot Prospector? Well, my system can dial 200 calls per, 300 calls or 400 calls per day. That's a feature, right? I mean, I have the ability to send email through my system. That's a feature. I have the ability to, let you listen to call recordings in your system. That's a feature. Doesn't mean anything. Even though those are to me, those are awesome things that they're going to need to know eventually. Right now, you're just giving benefits. You want them to see themselves in this product, and the only way you can do that is to give them benefits that are going to help them. The reason why Hot Prospector is awesome, and the benefits for my customers that have this, is because they can create a sales funnel for once and automate the whole thing. And now, instead of wasting their time, doing all those other tasks, they push a button and move on to the next prospect. Right? So that is a benefit, not a feature. Does everybody understand the difference between a feature and a benefit? Good. Then you guys are so awesome. Very bright. I love it. All right, so now we're going to offer the presentation or set an appointment. So once I have given the benefits, I like to confirm again, okay, which is, does this sound like the type of situation that interests you? Again, it's all about, should I continue or not? Okay, and you're stringing them along. You're kind of pulling them along, You got the little leash on their neck, and you're just like pulling them along. So does this sound like the type of situation that interests you? They're going to say, if they're interested in tripling their sales, they're going to be like, yeah, that interests me. That definitely interests me. And these are yeses that you're going to be getting to help you get a sale, right? So this is like a little close along the way. So great. What I'd like to do is go ahead and take a few minutes to show you around the system. We can decide if this is a right fit, so we can decide if this is the right fit for you and your business. Do you have 10 minutes now, or should we schedule a time to talk later today? Bada bing, bada boom. It's so smooth, right? I just told them, okay, great, so let's go ahead. I'd like to take a couple minutes to show you how this works. I just let them know it takes a few minutes. It's going to take me about 10 minutes to go through this, so we're not going to rush. All right? If you don't have 10 minutes right now, that's fine. What time later today can we do this? How professional is that? How professional is that? Now you are like, you care about their time. You are setting yourself up and proving why you have that cool title, because you're such an awesome person. You're not some sales guy. All right? So, okay, great. I have time. I love the comments I'm getting, by the way. Everybody's all excited about this. This is good. Right. So do you have 10 minutes now, or should we schedule a time later? Now, if they have time right now, my favorite thing, if you are in their face, right, face to face, belly to belly, whatever, okay, then my favorite system to use is something called Join Me, join.me. That way I can actually walk them through my system. Whenever you have something that you need to show them, it's always best, actually, to get their attention, to show them rather than just tell them. My presentations have moved from just a standard script to getting them on a computer and showing them, because when you engage them, it's going to be so much better. Okay, we're not going to go into the presentation right now. We're just talking about sales script. But this is it. This is how easy it is. So once you get them to confirm, You'll either take them to join me or, pull out your flip book if you have a presentation book, or if you've got an iPad or whatever and you want to start scrolling through it. If you do exactly what I said and don't skip anything, your sales are going to triple, at least. And if you've never had a sale, you'll start getting sales. Now, if they ask for an appointment, my script goes, great. I'm looking at my calendar right now. I have 2 openings available, one later this afternoon at 4. And you know what? Looks like I have another one first thing in the morning at 10 a.m. Which one of those works best for you? Okay, I gave them 2 options. 2 options. And their opportunity at this point is to choose one of those 2 options. If they don't have either one of them available, they're like, well, neither one of those is good. Well, that means they're paying attention. Okay, you know what? Let me look a little bit further. Which is best for you, afternoons or mornings? And they'll say, afternoons. Okay, great. Well, then let's see here. What about 2 o'clock tomorrow? That work? And they'll schedule something. But again, you're giving them an option. There's no yes or no. Like, can we talk tomorrow? They'll say no. You're giving them the option of either or, and then leading them into the point to schedule an appointment. Now, this is going to work exactly the same way if you have salespeople working for you doing appointments, which eventually I want everybody here that's listening to this presentation to move to that. If you're setting your own appointments, you're not going to be as productive. So eventually you're going to be, eventually you're going to be moving into the direction of hiring some people. And I'm going to show you how you can do that really cheaply. And it's going to be very powerful. Would you spend $20 a day if it meant closing a deal a day to bring, whatever you sell, $1,000 a month or a day into your pocket? I bet you would. And I'm going to show you how you could do that. People are saying no-brainer. All right, so now let's get into the rebuttal script tips. Who gets scared whenever they get objections? Be honest. Who gets nervous whenever they get objections? Some people are saying yes. The people are saying no or not answering, shame on you for not being honest with yourself. Most people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. But when I am done with you right now, you will no longer fear the rebuttal or the objection, because you're going to know what to say, and you're going to actually be excited when you get these objections, because you're going to know where you stand. That's the point of an objection. That's the point of an objection, is to get you closer to closing that sale. They're telling you why they don't want to buy yet. And if you're really good, then you're going to get right through, cut through the BS and get through the sale. Okay? So first, the objective of a rebuttal script is to isolate the objection and solve that challenge. See, the problem, most people, is they don't isolate the objection. They just try to solve the problem. I don't like saying problem, by the way. I like saying challenge, because there's never any problems when it comes to sales. There's just challenges we need to overcome. Okay? Can I get everybody to agree with me right now that if you can isolate the objection, find out exactly what it is that is causing your potential buyer, your prospect, if you can isolate the objection, the reason why they're not buying today, and solve that challenge, that would equal a sale, right? Like, if people would just be as open and honest with us if we would like, or that we would like, that would mean every person could be sold. That's the truth. The problem is that most people aren't honest. I'm not calling people all liars, but they don't want to be open. They're trying to guard themselves at the same time. They're protecting themselves. It's natural. Okay? You have to have a little bit of a psychology degree, I guess, to be you don't really have to have a psychology degree. I don't. You just have to understand people in order to sell. So in order to sell, number one, you need to isolate the objection and solve that challenge. Okay? So first off, do not be intimidated. Be confident and be prepared. If you have those 3 things, if you're not feeling nervous when they bring up this objection, and you're confident, they're going to understand that you're the real deal. And that all comes from being prepared. And I promise you, if you guys have these things down, like I told you, when we're done here, and I'm going to show you my objections just like I've been across this way. Hopefully this is like the best training you've had in sales in a long time. But anyways, if you have all those things laid out, when you call these people, you're not going to be afraid when they say, I'm not interested, because that's like a general objection. You'll be able to identify it, okay? Okay, so next is listen, explore, identify the true objection, right? So in order to find out the true objection, you've got to listen, find out exactly how they sound when they're saying it, explore by asking more questions or asking an exploratory question, right, to actually identify that true objection. I guess it should be listen plus explore equals identify. It's almost like an equation, but that's really what you're going to be doing. You're just going to listen to them. You guys are going to be good listeners. This is the point, to be the best listener as a salesperson. You're not, too many times we have the problem is like we just think we're the best. We love hearing ourselves talk. If you like hearing yourselves talk, you're going to sell less than you should be or less than you could be. Stop and listen to who you're talking to find out what type of personality and what the real problems are. Again, huge thing. Next, answer and confirm. Best way to do that is, when you're, I'm sorry, I skipped. Sorry, let me go up one. Repeat it back. Repeat it back. So I like to find out exactly what the objection is first. After I've identified the true objection, I'll repeat it back. So what you're saying is, the real reason why you're not, able to make this today is because of ... fill in the blank. Okay? And if I were, able to, I'll sometimes throw this in there depending on where we're at, but if I were able to confirm or fix X, then we can earn your business today, right? That type of thing, okay? And also, when you do answer their objection, always confirm. Makes sense, right? Makes sense is like my favorite. You guys probably hear me say that here a lot. Now you'll be listening for it. Now that you know it's apparent. I want to make sure that you're following along with me. Makes sense, right? All right. After you've given the confirmation, you've asked that the answer makes sense, redirect back to your script depending on where you're at, okay? If you haven't gone, to the presentation yet, and, let's say they've given you an opening objection, then give the rebuttal and then redirect back. Don't create more objections. Meaning, as long as you redirect back to your presentation, this shouldn't be a problem because you've scripted it all, right? Or your sales script. You've scripted it all. You're not going to start talking about stuff that doesn't actually pertain to the reason why you're calling. Then you won't drum up more objections that are going to cause you from losing the sale. One of the biggest problems in sales, and it goes back to blathering on, okay? One of the biggest problems a lot of people have in sales is that they just start talking because they get uncomfortable, and they just keep talking and thinking that's going to solve the situation if they just keep talking. Don't do that, because a lot of times you'll end up creating more objections, and then you'll cost your own sale. Okay, so redirect back to your presentation or script, and then go forward. A, B, C. Always be closing. If you've watched what was that movie? Glenn Ross, right? Is it Alex Baldwin? I think it is. He just, he comes in and, gives his speech. If you haven't watched that, you could definitely go and rent it. It's a pretty good movie. But, basically, ABC, always be closing. It's a term that in sales we've always used. Okay? But a lot of times, salespeople don't even know what ABC means. Always be closing, meaning always be moving the call forward. Always be moving the presentation forward for the sale to happen. Okay? So make sure that when you give an answer and you confirm, that you go back and ask for the sale. Okay? Now, I'm personally I'm a very aggressive salesperson, but I'm not a jerk about it, right? I'm a nice guy. I respect when somebody tells me no and there's a real reason why that we can't do business. Like if they don't have money and it's just not a good time, why am I going to beat them up about it? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. I'm just going to stop, right? Know when to stop. Know when to stop. And how many times do you give objections? Okay, and this is another good question I want to answer here from you guys. When is the best time to quit? How many objections do you have to answer until you know it's time to stop? How many rebuttals do you have to give? How many answers? What's the answer? And Michael says 3 to 4. Somebody said 8. Jay says when they have no more objections, when they leave. 6. You know, I used to say 6. Someone says until you meet a condition. Victor, that's right. Victor is right. Until you come to that point to where something has happened. You either cannot solve that issue, right? Because look, 90% of the time or 99% of the time, there's only one thing that's stopping you from getting their business. If there's not one thing, you've got a problem. You've got a customer that, you know, maybe you have to solve a few issues, but 99% of the time, it's only one thing. And you know what it is? It's usually trust. Okay? You know, people have to trust you in order to give you their money. So if you could solve that one issue, then you can get the sale. But yeah, the answer to the question is as long as it takes to earn their trust. However, if you're beating a dead horse, stop. You're just making yourself look bad. I used to do it when I was back in my first sales job, and I did it on purpose because I just like to warm up on this guy. It was like batting practice. There was this gentleman who owned a business from India, and he loved AT&T so much that he would not switch no matter what. We called them AT&T diehards, right? For no reason whatsoever. It was an irrational passion because AT&T used to be Ma Bell, right? They've been around forever. So there was, you know, just irrationally, they would just stay with them. Even though we would get their phone bill and they're paying like $1.50 a minute. No joke. Back then, people used to pay that, right? So I used to call this guy and just mess with him. I did it for months. Just certain days when I needed a lift, I would pick him up or pick up his phone number and just pick him up and call him. Hello, Mr. Patel. It's Mark. Giving you a call over at X Communications. And he's like, I told you I am not interested. And I'm like, okay, well, listen, let's, you know, and I'd start just going back and forth with him. Bad move. Nowadays, I've grown up. I'm more mature, and I realize that that kind of thing isn't going to get you anywhere. So don't do that kind of thing. It may be a bad example, but when you get a customer on the phone and they, you know, you've just come to that point to where you know that it's not going anywhere, just quit. Waldo says, I bet you had fun. Yeah, I did. And in that business, you had to have something back then. When you don't own the company, you're making a small percentage of what the company makes. You got to do what you got to do in order to, you know, have a good day. Like for example, and I'm going off topic here, but another thing we used to do is when somebody would hang up on us, we would call back and, you know what, I'm sorry, we just must have got disconnected, and then go back into the pitch. Which, by the way, actually, that's a good tactic. If somebody hangs up on you, right, especially gatekeepers, I always do. I'll call back, oh, I'm sorry, we got disconnected. Anyways, I was calling for John. Thanks. Sometimes they'll just be shocked that you just did it, and they'll put you through. But it's not a bad idea. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the objections. This is actually some of my favorite. These are some of my favorite objections. The I'm too busy. Now remember, what I was just saying here just a second ago, identify the actual true objection. Sometimes they really are busy, or sometimes it's just a deflection to, I'm not going to talk to any salespeople because I'm not, whatever, fill in the blank. You know what? Absolutely, Rich, and I can expect that. or I can respect that. In fact, if you're anything like me, you probably wish there are a lot more hours in the day just so you can get more done. The good news is that this is only going to take a few minutes. Plus, what I'm about to show you is going to help you put more money into your bank account where it belongs. So as I was saying, you can go back into the script. In that particular case, it's more of a blow-off type of a situation, I guess, where you're basically just dealing with somebody who is just trying to get you off the phone more times than not. So I usually just kind of brush it off. Not in a rude way. I just give them the answer and then go right back into my presentation. If they stop me again, then I'll try to identify exactly what the issue is. Well, let me ask you a question. You want to make more money, right? Start asking your qualifying questions. And if they qualify, then say, okay, well then, look, I understand you're busy. What time later today can I call you back? Make sense? Good. All right, here's the other one that I get a lot, and I'm sure, and if you guys get other objections, I'd love to try to address them. Okay, we may not address them here today, but I'll add them to the repertoire. But I'm pretty sure that I've handled most of them. Send me information. Yes, everybody get that? Send me some information. Okay, usually if somebody says send me some information before you get an opportunity, and this is usually the gatekeeper that will do this, but if you do all the things I taught you earlier, you shouldn't have this problem. But if you do, this is what I usually say. Sure thing, and again, I say DM. Don't ever pitch the gatekeeper. In fact, if a decision maker asks me to send the information, I just say yes. Sure, no problem. I'll do that. And then I call back because you're not going to get anywhere on that call. Okay. Anyways, if you're on the decision maker and they tell you send me some information really before you've had an opportunity to get into what you're calling about, sure thing, Rich. I'll go ahead and do that. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Personally, I hate making any uninformed decisions, and I respect you for being that way. So the great news is that I actually insist on going above and beyond the call of duty. I'm sure that you'll appreciate my philosophy to over-deliver whenever possible. So what I'm going to do is show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Are you in front of a computer? And a lot of times, by the way, guys, a lot of times if you actually have written out or you have your presentations, or not your presentations, but your proposals or any additional information in the email template section of Hot Prospector, you can click a button and send that out while you're on the phone with them. So worst case scenario, you can actually say, no, I sent you that information. We can go over it right now. Okay? But what my suggestion is here, this is usually going to happen before you've done your qualifications. If this happened after you've done your qualifications, well, then you should know if you're wasting your time or not now. But if you do this before, if you get this objection before the qualifications, you need to qualify them. Okay? Just let them know I'm going to send you some information, not a problem. But first, let me ask you a couple questions. Does that make sense? Am I losing anyone here? Because I don't have a problem explaining this because this is very important that you get this. Yes? Everybody's good? Okay, good. So moving right along. Oh, someone says lost me. Okay. Basically, when somebody says send me some information, and in brackets I said before, meaning before your presentation or before you qualified them, okay? You want to make sure that you agree with them, right? Okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and do that. As a matter of fact, it's better always, guys, just say, yeah, I'm going to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right now. As a matter of fact, I just sent it through. Now, great news is that I'm the type of person who likes to go above and beyond the call of duty. I'm sure you can appreciate that type of philosophy. To always over-deliver whenever possible. Give yourself an opportunity to let them know that you got their back, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about here in just a second. You're in front of a computer. That is, if that's just your way of letting them know that you've got that information sent over to them, and then continue into the script. All right? That's all you're doing at this point is you're just agreeing with them, sending them information, and then telling them or asking your qualification questions. Did that clear things up? Okay, good. Okay, now here is the send information after they have already received the information. So I hear you, Rich. In fact, I'm going to do just that. We always like to start a relationship off on the right foot and get you all the details in writing right up front. All right, this way we know that you're clear on everything that you're getting because, hey, we don't want to have any misinformation. Now, let me just verify that I have the correct details here. I see your email address is X, your phone number, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, great. And then if you've already given your presentation, okay, if you've already sold them or tried to sell them, I will attempt to go back for a close here and ask for their payment information. If you haven't given your presentation, okay, then this is I'm sorry. If you have not given your presentation, but you've gone through the opening script and they qualified, then I would continue to go through with the presentation. If you got this information, send me some information after they have given the presentation, then you may want to tweak this just a little bit. Now, if I'm confusing you, don't worry, I'll come back and clear this up. But send me some information after the presentation could mean they want a proposal. Okay? And I would clarify that, depending on the kind of conversation that you had. Okay, so Rich, let me just make sure I understand what you're saying. You like everything that we've just explained today, but you just want to see it in writing? Okay, so it might be a little bit different if you've already gone through the presentation. Okay, so what you're saying is you like everything that we've said today, and you see yourself, see this working for your business, but you just want to see it in writing? If he says yes, great. Well, I got your back here, and that's when you go back into this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and send that over to you, and then schedule a time to call them back. But if you were given this objection, so there's really three positions that this can happen. It can happen at the end of the presentation. It could happen at the end of the script, after you've had a chance to qualify them. And it can happen before you've had a chance to qualify them. So those are the three different locations that it can happen, and you need to identify which one. That's going to help you decide which way to go with it. Does that make sense? But either way, always agree. Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you that information out. Depending on what part of the presentation that you're in, you'll either go into the presentation again, or you'll ask them if they're looking for a proposal, or you'll ask them, well, you get the point. All right? If they still reject after you've had an opportunity to do that, I like to always throw in my catch-all, it must be my fault, which we'll cover that again a little bit later. All right? What's your website? I get that a lot. And usually that's always going to happen when either A, the decision maker didn't pay attention. If you're doing the presentation and they weren't paying attention, you didn't do a good job of grabbing their attention. Your headline wasn't awesome. Okay? Or if it happens before the presentation or before the script, then it's a blow-off. All these are usually blow-off objections, okay, meaning I'm just not going to talk to you right now, okay? Always agree. Absolutely, John. Let me go ahead and get that for you. Grab a pen for me. My website is, and then spell it out real slow. Take your time. And my company is, okay, great. Did you get that? And again, my name is, okay, you're taking some time to give them some, you're putting some air between them saying no, and then you go right back into your script again. Does everybody understand why we're doing this? The reason why we're doing this is because there's no reason at this point, there's no reason for you to really try to handle an objection, because there isn't one. These aren't objections, really. I also put down here in brackets or in parentheses, keep in mind this could be mainly a trust-based issue depending on when it comes up. You need to deal with that issue by showing your credibility. It depends on when it does come up. If somebody wants your information or wants a website, that kind of thing, it could be trust, and most of the time it is at that point. And they could be asking for a proposal or whatever. They might want to do some research in your company or whatever, but just identify exactly what that is. Okay? All right, partner or wife. This is not an objection you should be getting. If you're getting this objection, then it's your pre-qualifying script. You didn't pre-qualify your decision maker. So in order to fix this, you need to add a qualifier in there that asks if they're the decision maker. And sometimes it's better not to beat around, not sometimes, it's always best not to beat around the bush when you're qualifying your decision maker. Just say flat out, if I show you if I show you something today that's going to help your benefit or your business, do you have the authority to make that decision today? Always say today. I mean, obviously it doesn't always happen today, but just make sure they understand the sense of urgency, okay? If you like everything that you see and hear today, are you the person that makes the decision, or do you have a partner? And I always ask them, sometimes I'll ask them if they have a partner just so they can give themselves that out now so I can find out if I'm dealing with somebody's wishy-washy. Oh, I had to talk to my wife. Okay. Is your wife there? Let's go ahead and get her on the phone and let's all talk. Now, if you after giving this objection, or not this objection, but this after you've added this qualifier to your pitch, to your qualifications in the sales script, if they still give this to you at the end, then I usually like to throw the guilt trip on them, which is, you know what, I'm sorry. Was it something I said? Because I mean, obviously I asked you, I'm looking at it right here, I asked you this question, if you could make this decision, and you said you could. So did I do something wrong? Was it something I said? Is my voice? Only because, again, I guilt trip them because it's the best way to make them feel like crap for lying. They lied to you. And I don't call them a liar, but they need to feel some sort of remorse for what they've done because they did waste your time. Too much money. This is not they have too much money. It's that this product that you're offering is too much money. Who gets this objection? Too much money. Yeah? Some people? Okay. Well, I hear you, Rich. The best products are often more expensive. That's I just hammer it right on the head. You know what? The best products are often more expensive. You want the best, right? That's just a way of letting them know that you're not cheap because you're not cheap. What exactly about my product makes you feel that way? What exactly about X makes you feel, whatever I'm providing? Now you're giving them an opportunity to explain. Well, the reason why is because, then you can find out now what the actual problem is. Is there a value issue here? And now you can address that. So, you know what? I hear you, John. The best products are often more expensive. What exactly about my product makes you feel that way? If you ask that particular question when you get the too much money, rather than going on and trying to explain why it's not, Todd, you're welcome. That is a great reply. Thank you. Instead of trying to go on and on explaining something that's just not going to help them, just hit it right on the head. And just tell them, yeah, it is. It's not cheap. I agree. It's why I'm the best. I can afford to be the best. Have you figured out the potential cost? And this is another one I will hit them with. Have you figured out the potential cost of not doing this? Like, you think this is expensive, like, for example, let's say you're selling mobile websites or something, right? You think this is expensive, but did you realize that 50% of your customers use a mobile phone and you don't even have a mobile website? Have you thought about how much money you're losing by that? I mean, I understand you're saying $5,000 is a lot of money today, but how much money is it costing you by not doing this today? Have you thought about those numbers? Let's go ahead and figure that out together. You see what I'm saying? Now you have a leg to stand on, and it's not you anymore. But that's the point. You've got to find out exactly what the true objection is and then explain your benefits. Dave, this is live. And yes, this will be recorded for those of you that missed some of it. But I do suggest you stick around because we've got a lot more and we're coming up towards the end. Okay. So we've been with X for X years. This was my old guy that I worked at um, when I worked at that telecommunications company. He would always say, "Oh, I've been with this company for forever, and I'm not going to switch." The best response here is, you know what, John? Right? I mean, this is another one. For those of you guys that sell like web services or any of those things, you're like, "Oh, I already have somebody that handles that." Well, you know what? I hear you, John. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? In fact, I just want to commend you for your loyalty. But for your peace of mind, doesn't it make sense to review what you're getting with them at least on a yearly basis? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. You're being polite and you're letting them know that you think it's awesome that they're sticking with that person. As a matter of fact, I would expect the same thing. I'm really that good. But hey, you know what? I don't mind you checking up on me because I'm just that good, and I know that if you have the time, or if somebody calls up and they're just really that persistent and they just insist on trying to make sure that you're good, go ahead, do the review. I'm always going to win. And I would let them know, look, if this guy is as good as you said, if this person is as good as you said they are, then we'll find nothing wrong with what they're doing. So very very to the point. Fear of change. Fear of change is probably one of the biggest things. It's fear of change is usually because of trust. They don't trust anybody. Okay? Here's my fear of change rebuttal. I hear you, John. As you notice, I always start with, like, I hear you, or I understand what you're saying, or anything like that. Start it out with that, because then they make sure that you make sure they feel like you're listening to them. Okay? So, I hear you, John. I understand exactly where you're coming from. If you were thinking it seems like things are changing every day, you'd be right. I mean, every single day something new comes out. And that could be a little bit overwhelming, especially when all you want to do is just run your business, right? You don't want to deal with all this other stuff. But the good news is my job is to keep up with all those changes and make sure that you don't miss a beat. My number one goal is to make sure you look good to your customers and increase your bottom line. The better you do, the better we do. And you know what? We have a great guarantee. Our guarantee to you is your complete satisfaction. In fact, I won't rest until you're 100% satisfied. At this point, this is the catch-all objection, but realistically, you need to identify what that true fear of change is. And usually it's trust. Like I said, you need to ask them exactly. Okay? You need to ask them exactly. All right. I got a couple of people here that asked for a couple more objections. I need to think about it. We kind of covered that. But basically, thinking about it, it always boils down to, did you hammer? And if you do the things that I just explained to you in the very beginning with your qualifiers, you've already told them what the sense of urgency is here, right? You already know they have the money. So the think about it objection won't come up nearly as much unless they just don't trust you. So what you're going to want to do, if somebody says, I need to think about it, almost come right out with it and hit the nail right on the head and just say, let me just ask you, because most of the time when this comes up is usually, some sort of disconnect here with what we've said versus what you think is going to benefit you. Is there something here that you're concerned about? What's your real concern? Oh, I just need to think about it. Okay, that's fine. Because sometimes people will follow up with that same response. I just need to think about it, because now they think you're being pushy, right? Because you didn't get off the phone like everybody else does when they say that they need to think about it, right? When that happens, don't be nervous. Stand your ground and just throw your hands in the air if you're on the phone, just to let them know that you're they won't be able to see it, but be on the I'm sorry, I'm safe. But just say something to the effect of, what, I understand. I'm not trying to be pushy here. I'm only asking because I have your best interest in mind, and I need to know what I need to do in order to show that to you. If they won't tell you, then there's something they were hiding. They may have lied on their qualifying questions, said they had the money and they didn't, just to hear what you had to offer, something like that. But your job, when they say they need to think about it, is to identify exactly what the issue is. Does that make sense to anybody who's understand or listening? Did that make sense what I just said? This is always about identifying what the true issue is. There's no one size fits all objection. You cannot always look. Every situation is unique. I try to give you some examples here of objections so you know what to say and kind of how to go with things. But if you've got somebody that gives you an objection like I need to think about it, and they're not willing to give you any more information, no matter how you try, and be polite, just let them know I'm a real person. Be real with them. That's the best way to sell, is just be real, right? If they're not willing to tell you, then you're dealing with somebody who you probably don't want to deal with anyways, okay? I see another question here. Can you beat X price? I'm not going to beat anybody. I can beat their benefits, but I don't beat price. So I would ask them, well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Customer. Depending on what you're selling, obviously, this is the way you would go with this. So let's say it's a website, for example. Okay? If I was selling a website and somebody said, well, somebody else offered me a website for $200, and first question I would ask them is, okay, so you're saying that if I offered you a website for $199.99, you would buy right now? Because if that's the way that you're looking for someone to help you with a decision as important as this, then we're probably not a good fit. Now, the reason why most people are looking for my services is because they know I'm the best. And there's a huge difference between a $200 website and a website that actually brings you customers. So, which one are you looking for? Because obviously I can help you with both, but which one are you looking for? Are you looking for a cheap website, or are you looking for a website that's going to actually perform and get you what you're looking to do, which is increase your bottom line, right? Get more money. Make them answer how a responsible business owner should answer. Don't be afraid, just be direct. The reason why most people in sales don't get what they want is because they're afraid to ask for it. These people are people just like you. And if you just be open with them and ask them questions directly to find out exactly what the issue is, they'll sell themselves. You might have heard that before. Maybe somebody just didn't explain it to you the right way. Basically what I'm saying is if you ask them flat out, okay, if you want the cheap price, I'll do what I can to help you. I'll get you what I can. Not promising you anything, but do you want this or do you want that? And you know what? At that point, you're almost looking for them to make the right decision. If somebody told me they want a $199 website after I give them that question, or I give them that response, I would tell them, you know what? I'm sorry. Maybe we can't help each other because I'm in the business of helping people improve their business, not make decisions. I don't want to just take your money. Because $199.99, yeah, I'm cheaper, and I'm going to take your $200 from me right now, but I can't provide any value for that. So I do appreciate your time. If you need anything, here's my phone number. Give me a call. Does that make sense? One more. Got another question here. How do you deal with I need to go, I have another appointment or another call, etc.? Well, be respectful of their time. That's how I handle it. I would ask them, okay, great. If you got another appointment, they just was direct with you. They're getting ready to leave. That's not an objection. That's like, hey, I can't talk right now. Okay, that's fine. If you did a really good job in the very beginning of explaining who you are and why you're calling and how awesome you are and why they should listen to you, then that's a real objection. It's not even an objection. It's just a real statement. I got to go, but right now is not a good time. Okay, well, what time later on today can I give you a call back? When will you be back from your appointment? We'll go ahead and I'll explain to you the reason why we're here. Okay? Because if you broke my system down into the steps of, your scripts down into the steps of gatekeeper script, opening script, sales script, and then your presentation, you notice there's 4 different processes there that are all going to work together. If they can't be there for all 4, well, that's fine. Come back later and handle the rest of them. It's okay to call them back as long as they're serious. Just make sure they are. Okay? When they ask for money back guarantee, what to do? Well, it depends on what you're offering. I don't do a money back guarantee for services rendered when I'm building a website or offering search engine optimization or any of those things. That's why I asked them if they have the money to invest up front. But it depends on what you're offering. If you're selling software or something like that, it's fine to offer some sort of a money-back guarantee. But if somebody's afraid to give up their money, they may not be the right person for you anyways. You'll realize if you just go through the qualifications and you find out exactly ahead of time that you're dealing with the right person, you're good to go. Okay? All right, so let's move on to closing tips. Closing tips, and we're going to wrap this up here very shortly. So keep control of the call. Always remember that he who possesses control is the one who has best shot of getting what they want. Okay, and that includes the presentation. Now that doesn't mean be a domineering jerk. Okay, it just means be assertive and always, like I did with the gatekeeper, answer their question, ask a question. That's keeping control. Same type of thing with the decision maker. Answer their question, go back to where you want them to go. If you have a presentation, this is one of the reasons why I love doing it over the phone instead of face-to-face, is because they don't know that I'm kind of looking at my presentation and stuff. I'm doing whatever I'm doing behind the phone. They don't know. They can't tell. They can only hear. Okay, so as long as you're really good at it, you'll see that it'll be really easy to just control that call. Pay attention to every single thing that's going on. And that means their tonality, what's going on in the background, every single thing. Okay? I'm always listening for buying signals and buying questions. They're going to ask certain questions that's going to identify that they're already sold. They may sometimes ask that way on early in the presentation. Don't quit and just ask for their money at that point, because you could have a premature close, and that's not good, because sometimes those types of people get cold feet and back out. So make sure that you still deliver that value before you take their money, but listen for those buying signals. Listen for those questions. Can I get this in red? How long will it take for you to do this? Do you have other customers in the area? Those types of things. They may ask a question like, when I buy, ... Okay? Assume the sale. Assume the sale. Now, assuming the sale is a really simple closing technique for people who don't want to ask for the sale. Okay? Assume the sale means to go ahead and assuming that after the presentation is over that they've decided to go ahead and do it. I usually will pull out a pen, or if I have a order form on my computer, I'll start filling it out. Okay, so I have your billing address as 123 Main Street. All right, and what's your main phone number? Okay, good. Any other phone numbers I need? No? Okay. And you're the main contact here. Who else will I need to speak to? I ask those like warm-up questions. Then I go, okay, great. Now we're going to use a Visa, MasterCard, or would you rather do check by phone? And that's my assuming the sale. Okay? Assuming the sale. Don't be afraid to ask, though. Assuming the sale is good, but don't be afraid to ask, because sometimes they just... they assume the sale won't work, and they'll come up with your objections. They'll come up with objections of reasons why they don't want to do this today. Handle those objections with your feel, felt, found method. If you don't know what that is, it's the same format that I wrote my objections in. I understand how you feel. A lot of people I've dealt with in the past have felt the same way, but they found after, dealing with me that X, feel, felt, found. You can Google it. It's an old... thing a lot of us have been doing for a long time, but I wrote my objections in the feel, felt, found method. Understand how they feel, let them know that they're not alone, and explain, how other people have found. Mainly, look, you can write your objections in a feel, felt, found method and all that stuff, but what it all boils down to is finding out exactly what the true objection is and just answering it and letting them know you're on their side. Who do I do check by phone with? I actually just do it with my bank. I have, go ahead and Google check draft. I think it's, check draft or, how to do a check draft. And you'll see my video. It should be like on the first page of Google, and I explain how to do it. I even give you a check draft form that you can just print out. It's on Word. Then ask for the sale again. Okay, so handle the objection, ask for the sale. Handle the objection, ask for the sale. Handle the objection, ask for the sale. I know, it sounds repetitive, right? That's it. That is how you get the sale. Matter of fact, I've even had customers say, gosh, is all you know how to do is ask, because how do I ask for the sale? I'll usually say like, so I'll handle their objection and I'll say, okay, so as I was saying, we can go ahead and get this wrapped up today. We could do a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Which do you prefer to do? That's one way. That's assuming the sale and asking for the sale. Another way of asking for the sale is, hopefully that makes sense, right? So let's go ahead and get this going. I want to go ahead and earn your business today. That kind of thing, just assertively. Don't say, can I have your business, please? Don't ask like that. Just, being assumptive is probably the best way to close because they're going to come back and understand that that was a question, But yeah, assume the sale, and if you have to, just, you can also say in your objection, so if I solve X for you, right, then I can earn your business today, right? So during my handling of objections, sometimes I'll say, so I understand what you're saying. Let me just make sure I understand exactly what you're saying. If I can fix X, can I earn your business today? Or you could even be, instead of asking a yes or no question there, you could say, if I could fix today, I could earn your business today, right? Obviously, I can earn your business today, right? Something to that effect, because then, you're qualifying. You should always try to be qualifying. Try to always qualify. Like, I don't mind answering questions for the whole day, but I want to make sure that the questions that I'm answering is going to go somewhere, and you're eventually going to give me your money. Not your money, but your business, right? I mean, look, I don't mind answering questions, but I want to make sure that I'm answering the question for somebody who's interested in being a customer of mine. And then we're not just going to go back and forth all day answering and asking questions. Yeah, Dave says always be closing. Exactly.